Good evening, and welcome. Welcome everybody to another live stream. Happy Thursday to you all. It is good to be back live. The markets have been very interesting over this past period, to say the least. We've had a fair bit of uplift over the past couple of months. When you look back at March, time flies. Firstly, we are at the end of June now. June, another quarter done, wrapped up and dusted. Just about another week to go. Things can change. But if you do look back to March, we're essentially up 10, 15% on the S&P 500, back into bull market territory. The Nasdaq's been soaring, up over 20%. Many of those names, Tesla over the past years up by over 100%. But as we know, the AI stocks have really been driving higher and higher. Many of those tech names, when you're talking about your Apples, your Microsofts, they've recouped a lot of their losses. And in some of their cases are actually back towards the highs that they saw throughout 2022. But the question with everything that's been evolving and playing out is the bull market back on? Is this a bull trap? Are we really just setting up for another leg on the way to cascade downwards? I'm keen to know everyone's thoughts. We'll have a lot of a chat about it tonight. I hope you're all well. Happy Thursday. It's good to be back for another live stream. Firstly, last week we missed it because of, unfortunately, that virus that we all thought we would one and done with, but had it in the family, so we had to kind of get that all sorted, and we're back now. So happy Thursday. We're going to be back Thursdays at 8 p.m., sometimes 8:30 p.m. Actually might be closer to 8:30 p.m. because I've just started back doing MMA, or been training like jits and wrestling mostly. But yeah, it's been good getting back at it. But that finishes at 7:30, so I was hustling over to get here. As we get into it, as people join in, firstly, we are on Instagram now. It's at ASX Investor IG. Come and say g'day there. The link should be at the pinned comment at the top. So click over, come follow. We've been releasing daily pieces of news. There's been plenty of news the past couple of days, especially in the EV space. Today we talked about Talga, we talked about Sayona. We do all sorts of global news, whether it's even Elon Musk talking about India and the growth potential there. So that's ASX Investor IG. If you're new here and this is your first live stream, make sure you've subscribed, turn your bell notifications on, pop up with a comment and say hello too. Let us know how you're all going. Let us know what you're thinking about the markets. Is the bull market back on? Let us know what stocks have been taking your attention. Stock standard discussion. I'm just a bloke on the internet who likes talking about the markets. I'm definitely not a financial advisor, and nothing we talk about is financial advice. Hopefully, however, it's an interesting starting spot for you to do your own research from. Who's up first? Deco. Mate, I reckon this might be 2 or 3 weeks in a row that you've led with the first comment. Very, very, very well done. Azure Minerals. Let's have a look at that. Azure up 171% over the past month. Credit to Deco here. We've got to give the credit here. I reckon some of those first comments over the past few weeks, fair few of them at least, have been talking about AZS. So he's been speaking about it a lot. Azure Minerals. Give us the elevator pitch, Deco, once again, so people can get the update there. Kingfisher, welcome back to the stream. Any updates for Pilbara and QPM? QPM have been actually had a couple of announcements over the past couple of weeks. Let's pull them up here. Still sitting on that 10-cent mark there. Let's pull up QPM. All right, how do we share the screen here? Settings, present. So QPM here, as you can see. What has that popped up there? That is not what we were looking for. QPM. Let us know if we can see the screen. And so I feel like we're back in the 2020 Zoom days. We're like, can anyone see our screen? How's that going there? All right, there we go. That's the big one that we were looking for. So Queensland Pacific Metals, they are looking to roll out an innovative approach to refining and producing nickel and cobalt. And they've actually got a few interesting byproducts as well there. But last week? No, it was 2 days ago. First 4N HPA aluminium from the demonstration plant, and an MOU as well for their power station, and of course their gas supply. So there's been a few interesting announcements on that front. They're still at 10 cents. There's obviously been a lot of discussion about how they're going to fund their capital project. It's an expensive project, but obviously playing in a pretty fascinating sector. Bright industry at the moment. There's a lot going on. In terms of the conventional ones, what are people interested in? AI and technology is attracting a lot of attention. I think if you listen to what a lot of people are talking about at this stage, I think everyone's going for what company has AI in their name? Or if you look at .io, a lot of these kind of early stage startups and entrepreneurs are diving into the space. It almost reminds me of the NFT phase over the past couple of years. But it's not only companies that are going to be producing solutions for AI, whether it's on the software or the hardware side, but there are a lot of companies that are going to be getting uplift from artificial intelligence technology and tools. Now, First and easiest one to understand is ChatGPT, just because it's got all of the discussion and eyes on it. I also saw, that's a bit of a tangent, but I guess it's relevant. Saw Sam Altman, the CEO and founder of OpenAI, who obviously created ChatGPT. He spoke in Melbourne last week at a Startup Victoria conference. It was fascinating. It was illuminating. Really interesting discussion. But I think a lot of people are talking about the fact that there's a lot of businesses that might not play in the technology space, might not play in the AI space, but who will see uplift from artificial intelligence technology. Now, obviously, everyone here works in different industries, but drop in a comment and let us know kind of how your workday has been augmented or complemented by artificial intelligence. I know I spend a lot of time at work, whether it's like drafting initial pieces of copy or responses and things like that, doing some background research and things like that. And we don't play in the artificial intelligence space, but there are tools that can supplement the work that you do. And there are many big companies that are going to be, and it's going to be a race to see who can actually understand, access, and then leverage these technologies best. But if you think about that picks and shovels side, obviously the shovels, the companies that are going to be producing AI, there's going to be many winners there. But of course, a lot of companies that are playing in that space won't win as well. So it's not just kind of that silver bullet. But there's also going to be a lot of companies on that second order down who are playing in a broad range of industries who are able to capitalize on artificial intelligence to really rapidly like supercharge what they're doing to be more efficient, more productive, and more successful. And so I think that's an interesting one that a lot of people are not overlooking, but it's probably not top of mind, if that makes sense. Baruz, hey. In terms of individual companies, we can't really talk about specific companies, but there's a lot. I've been really interested in the technology space. The electric vehicle revolution has been fascinating, and particularly going back to, when was it, like February, March, April, as the lithium prices came off, there was an interesting kind of churn and downtrend in terms of prices. And so I've been looking a lot in that space as well. There's a few fascinating companies, particularly on the US tech side as well, playing in that AI space as we've been speaking about. So that's kind of where a lot of the thinking from my personal side has been going. Zaki, hey, how you going, mate? Deleted social media and YouTube, been backpacking New Zealand. How good is that? Whereabouts are you located at the moment, mate? Let us know kind of highlights. New Zealand's a company I've never, not a company, so much talk about companies. New Zealand is a city that, we'll try that for the third time. New Zealand is a country I've never been to. I've been to a range of countries around the world, but New Zealand's like so close to home. I feel like a lot of people like travel outside of Australia more than they actually travel internally to Australia, and often New Zealand is overlooked in the same way. But yeah, I definitely want to tick it off the list. Queenstown, I know everyone speaks about it a lot, so yeah, I'm definitely very, very keen to head over there. But kia ora to you, Zach. About time. Hey, mate, how you going? Bull run is driven by the top 7 companies. Is it a positive thing or negative? So what About Time is referencing here is breadth of market. Now, we can take the S&P 500 as a microcosm. It's not even a microcosm, but I guess as a proxy or a look at the total US market or the total global market. As we know, there is many, many more companies in the US than the S&P 500. And in the world, there's many more companies in the S&P 500. But if we just look at that as just a little bit of a proxy to understand this discussion or to frame this discussion, what About Time is referencing is the fact that sometimes you see runs upwards and movements upwards driven by a broad rally. And we know that everything rally that happened in 2020, 2021, obviously a lot of that was driven by technology names as well. But as kind of liquidity came into the markets, we saw significant breadth. And what does breadth mean? If you have 400 companies moving higher, then obviously if 1 or 2 names don't move higher, it's not going to affect the rest, or at least kind of the index level will continue moving higher. But the same way as well, the same can happen on the inverse on the downside. We have seen, and I guess it's a nature of the aggregated, well, it's an insight into the aggregated nature of the S&P 500, that these mega cap technology names, we're talking your Apples, your Microsofts, your Teslas, your Nvidias into the $1 trillion club now, have been leading this charge higher. And so what does that mean? Obviously, when they're moving higher, great, because they are significant weightings within the S&P 500. So obviously the S&P 500 is not an equal weight with the headline index that everyone looks at. It is weighted according to market cap. So that means the biggest companies, let's use Apple, that is the biggest company in the S&P 500. If Apple moves higher, it's going to be a good indication that hopefully it's going to be the index that's going to be moving higher. It will help to propel the index higher. If Apple moves lower, same thing happens on the downside. Now, when you have movements that, like we've seen, condensed around technology, primarily driven by the artificial intelligence excitement, that means that, yes, as those companies move higher, great, but let's just say there's an exogenous shock to the technology industry, whatever that looks like. Then suddenly, if those 7 companies aren't moving higher and the rest of the companies are not moving higher, they're either neutral or moving down. Well, imagine if you've got a table with 3 legs instead of 4. It's not very, very stable. So when it's got narrow breadth, it means that it's a lot more susceptible to shocks. And so generally what you want to see is breadth. And you'll see this happening even with company like, say, their revenue distribution. So if a company has got 2 key, let's say, customers, they sell, let's say, $10 million worth of supplies a quarter, and they've got 2 customers, and each customer is purchasing $5 million worth of product. Great. We've got customers who really, really care about your product. If they're purchasing $5 million worth, awesome. They're willing to spend money on it, and you've got a product that works. But if just one of them pulls out and they go to a competitor, or they go bust and they can't afford your product anymore, you've gone from $10 million to $5 million of revenue like that. But if you've got $10 million worth of revenue and you've got 100 companies doing that, that means obviously that, let's just say, 1 or 2 or 3 companies, they stop purchasing from you for whatever reason. You've still got your other 97 companies that are able to continue purchasing from you as customers that will supplement that moving forward. So that's breadth. And you can obviously see sometimes market breadth is narrow, or sometimes market breadth is broad. Ask you what you are, working in a stock agency or something other. No, I'm just a bloke on the internet who likes talking about the market. So for me, outside of ASX Investor, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called We Are Mobilize. We've talked about it. We've got videos on the channel, actually. But last year, so for the 7 years before last year, we were primarily focused on grassroots outreach. So we're a charity focused on providing services to those experiencing homelessness. At the back end of last year, an incredible bloke called Ned Brockman ran across the country from Perth to Sydney, ran 47 days across the country, and he raised over $2 million. So we did a $2 million fundraiser, and that's now kind of put us in a really exciting position to launch a range of innovative programs to try and help those experiencing homelessness. So yeah, for the day job, I'm the CEO of We Are Mobilize, but I just really like talking about the markets. And I think there's a real opportunity to infuse commercial models and commercial understanding with the social impact space. I'm obviously very passionate about the social impact space. And I think we see it with social enterprise. So that's my focus. That's how I started learning about markets, learning about companies, looking into the space. As I was really fascinated understanding business models and kind of the scale up process and entrepreneurship from that lens. And yeah, kind of just love looking into the markets from there. That's who I am. Very disappointing news from LKE. So what AREM is mentioning here, I was going to say they had plans for 50,000 and they've halved those in the scale up process, but they started with $25,000 LCE, lithium carbonate production. They then lifted those plans to 50,000 tons. And now they've brought them back down to 25,000 and 25,000 in a scaled process. The market was obviously, I guess, not a big fan of that. And their share price has gone down quite significantly. Over the past month, they're down 30, 40, 50%. And that's kind of what the reference is. For those who are tuning in, we're on Instagram. It's at ASX Investor IG. Come say g'day. That's where we post all our daily news, stories, updates, random stuff about life and all of that too. So it's ASX Investor IG. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. We're on, I think they're the main 3. Oh, we're on TikTok as well. I had ASX Investor TikTok. But yeah, Instagram's the one if you're over there where you get all your daily content. Pinned comment at the top. Come say g'day. Been a while. Joe Blogs, how you going? Yeah, so as AREM talked about, it's a disappointing news because obviously a lot of the forecasts and the models and the excitement about that 50,000 have to be changed. Not torn up, but have got to be changed significantly. And also the timings have been continuing to push out, which obviously markets and investors, they never like seeing delays. And they obviously, they don't want to see the cutback in terms of the timings and the frame there. But hope you're going well. What a delay. Bad Times referenced it too. Ratio. Hey, mate. How you going? Welcome. Pedro, disappointed on LKE as well. Thoughts on Weebit? Yeah, share price has been moving. Kobe Hanok, the CEO, had some interesting, I guess, alterations or refinement of his salary package, the bonus terms, and obviously being paid the bonus. So it'll be fascinating to see. They had a lot of news headlined or kind of focused in and around first half or in and around mid-2023 was what they termed it. We're right in the midst of mid-2023 now. So there's going to be a lot of kind of thoughts about, what that's looking like moving forward. Zach, Weebit still holding conviction as the most exciting stock on the ASX. There you go. He's echoing that too. Nicola, disappointed. What's your thoughts on the racing oncology story? I know Dr. Tillett stepped back from his kind of his day-to-day operational focuses there. So yeah, there's been a lot going on in the race story. A lot of these stories have started to evolve and emerge. Hope you're going well, Nicola. AZS, massive spread of lithium bearing spodumene pegmatites in the Pilbara. AQM invested 20 mil to drill it out, looking to shape out a 100 million ton resource. Massive. Discovery of the year incoming. I saw there was a big resource upgrade as well for Latin Resources in Brazil, or actually I guess South America more broadly, as is the name, Latin Resources, but for their Brazilian project. And Leo Lithium also had a resource upgrade as well. So a few resource upgrades, AZS are going drilling, and we'll see how they go on the resource side. But Deco, yeah, mate, you called it, mate. Very, very early there. Tax time makes for a confusing market. I'll tell you what else makes for a confusing market. Jerome Powell speaking. He spoke last night, and he basically said, we're a bit away from 2% inflation. And it was fascinating because on one side, you have the first pause in rate hikes. How many rate hikes did they get to? It was in the teens, 12, 13, 14, 15, something like that in a row. First pause, but then it's like, hey, more rate hikes are inbound later on this year. Jerome Powell's actually speaking again tonight, overnight, Australian time. For US viewers, welcome. He's speaking today for you, or in the incoming day for you guys. But yeah, we'll see what Jerome Powell says and what the market says too. Lake news there. Yeah, Vulcan's been another interesting one. They've been hovering around that $4 mark, even a bit lower than that too. I think they touched $4 the other day. Might have even bounced above it from memory, but yeah, they're back in there now, 387. There we go. Francisco, bull market is back, but going down now. How about ASX? And we talked a little bit about breadth there. That was for the S&P 500 example that we used with about time discussing it. But you've also got to bear in mind the weightings on the different indexes. So for the ASX index, obviously heavy weightings towards financials and your mining companies. And so it's going to be driven by different types of movements and mechanisms in comparison to a market like the US, which is more technology driven, as we spoke about. Palantir, Soaring, one of those companies that's really been driven by a lot of excitement in the AI space, but I think it's being overlooked, the cash flow generation that they've got and the growth on the revenue top line. If they can continue churning growth quarter in, quarter out, it's going to be very fascinating next few years ahead. Anything exciting going on? Yeah, mate, Mobilizer's been pumping. So we've got, we've just hired our fifth staff member. So yeah, it's been exciting. You know, building a company is, it's the most incredible journey I've been on, just seeing the scale up of it. And like a lot of the move was, the growth has been catalyzed over the past 6 months with the fundraiser. But over the past 7 years, you know, this has been a journey that we've been going day in and day out on. And so having the opportunity to be able to build the dreams and the aspirations that we've had and turn them into a reality, I'm stoked. We've got the most incredible team. You know, I'm incredibly proud to be able to work with the team, build this out. We've got some fascinating programs rolling out. So the outreach continues to scale. We're rolling out a direct giving program as well. We've termed it Mobilize Matched. We believe it's the first of its kind in Australia, the first direct cash transfer program. So that's in pilot stage now. And we're just rolling out a Kickstarter program as well, which hopefully is going to assist people to get into the rental and housing market. Because everyone knows about the cost of living struggles, but also the difficulties to get yourself into the market, particularly for those at risk of homelessness or those experiencing homelessness or those who might be exiting homelessness. And so, yeah, we've got a few really exciting programs. Stay tuned. But happy to talk about that because I love talking about the entrepreneurship side as well. Brainchip, yeah, I think they're back in the 30s now. The market's just waiting for news. Obviously, there was a lot of discussion around AGM time. The market's just waiting to see kind of licenses, revenue, same discussion as always. Use AI to help you draft documents by entering key points. And that's what I think AI is so useful for, right? It's never going to write your entire document from, you know, zero to delivery. But what it will help you with is get it from idea, concept, few key points, as you've mentioned there, to 60 or 70%. And if you're saving 60, 70, 80% of your time consistently over, you know, 200 documents in a week or a month or a year, however many you're drafting, that compounds. So yeah, I echo that. I'm using that as well. And I've talked to a lot of people in both my team and around who are using very similar. Canary Media reporting that Man United deal is done, waiting for the right time to announce it. Look, we saw the, I guess, the Middle Eastern money come into Manchester City. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens with Man United. Obviously, the Glazers leaving too. It was a good, positive year for Manchester United. Not the best year, but from where we started, I'm stoked with kind of where we've ended up. Hey, mate, big week for Telga. 150 million euros financing. Today, we actually posted on the Instagram today at ASX Investor IG today about the refinery permit. This was a big one. I think there's still a couple of weeks of potential appeals, but this was the big one on the anode plant. They've got obviously graphite there and they'll continue to mine as they get those permitting approved. But yeah, 150 million euros from the European Bank is no small change. Pretty significant amount of change actually there. Hope you're going well, GVW. We actually need we'll reach out about that too. Kathy Wood dumping 6% Tesla holdings, yet their bear case in the next 4 years, that is a multi-bagger. Yeah, it's listen to what people do and not what they say is often the way. And we all saw with Kathy Wood what happened as she sold NVIDIA right at the peak after they've been bullish on it. Right at the trough. After they've been bullish on it for many, many years, and then kind of NVIDIA runs up 100, 150%. So it's an interesting time. Biggest amount of retail money over that big run period. Tesla, the share market was going to Tesla. Interesting. I didn't know that as a fact, but it makes sense intuitively. It's always one of those leading lights. It's always got a big retail following. So that makes sense. That checks out. Vivek, like in the bull market. MP1, I know their share price has been down. I know that I'm not sure whether they've had downgrades in terms of forecast or whether they've missed expectations. But I remember, they were peaking in around that $20 mark. In fact, I'm looking here on the chart. 21.46 is the peak I've got on this chart here, just looking at it on a 5-yearly. And they're back under the $10. I'm going to have to have a look into the business model before being able to provide any insight. Graphite's a fascinating one. We obviously saw, we've seen some movement in the broader EV material space. One thing I will note here that was fascinating, and a lot of people might have missed, is that China extended some tax cuts or some tax breaks for new electric vehicles to 2027. Now, there was some talk about dampening demand from China. They've obviously been one of the leading lights in terms of adoption for electric vehicles, but they've just recently extended tax breaks till 2027. Now, is that going to uplift demand? We saw the electric vehicle stocks in China move higher on the back of it. They did close neutral or in around there, but that's something fascinating. And obviously, increased EV demand is obviously going to drive demand for your feed-in products, your lithium, your graphite, your nickels, your cobalts, depending on chemistries, and everything else playing around in that space. Hey, Shuo. Thank you. Recent pullback in FLT. I haven't been looking at the news flow too closely for Flight Centre. Oh, geez, that's a bit of a drop over the past just 3 days. We're looking at a 10% drop. We know the market's been down on the ASX, a couple of days down. Has there been any particular news there, Marina and Richard? And please share with us. Keep missing your lives playing volleyball. Tom, you made it, mate. You've made it. You haven't missed it at all. You are here well and truly. Welcome. Hope your volleyball went well. Upcoming interviews over the next few weeks. Yes, we're right in the midst of launching the new pilot for We Are Mobilize. So this is going to be probably a 2 or 3 week thing. Once we get into the new financial year, we've also got to get our financial statements and stuff sorted once that's done. Get the annual report done and the strategic plan for the new financial year. Or it's a 3-year financial strategic plan. So that'll go to 2025. We're doing all of that. That'll be done over the next few weeks. And once that's done, back into interview season, baby. So stay tuned. Large Zinger, Stacker Box, and Pepsi Max. Pepsi Max? Not a Sunkist? I'm a big fan of the Sunkist, but Pepsi Max goes all right. I do like a Zinger Stacker Box, though. BRN seems to have significant short interest. Some days this month, about half the volume was short sales, which is significant, right? That's, when you're talking about half your volume of sales in a day short, that's, it is no small matter. Bull market for lithium. I guess excitement in the lithium space is back. Prices have obviously been moving as well. In terms of bull market, we'll have to see where do things go. I think we're starting to see a moderation. Obviously, what we saw at the back end of 2020, 2021, atypical. We're not going to probably, who knows, but we're very unlikely to see those types of parabolic moves upwards in terms of the price for it. But demand is strong. Electric vehicles are more and more common. I'm seeing them more regularly. The European Union, obviously investing into the space. They're rolling out kind of their focuses and their policy. The US and North America rolling theirs out. The electric vehicle revolution is beginning. And so I think obviously if that continues, demand for the resources that are necessary for that is going to continue to grow. Good books. I am rereading Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Halliday. Has anyone read that? Ryan Halliday, he talks a lot about like stoicism and insight, but Ego is the Enemy was one of the most illuminating books I've read about mindset and our approach to thinking, the way we think about the world, and just the way we approach everything. If you haven't read it, do I have it here? No, I don't have it on my shelf. But yeah, Ego is the Enemy. I'd definitely recommend it. Ryan Halliday's got a few really good podcasts with Tim Ferriss as well. He's got plenty of good podcasts generally, but he's got some really good podcasts that I'd definitely recommend. Anything to comment about Sayona? Yeah, look, their cap raise has been, it's attracted a lot of attention, but they did come out today with the lithium carbonate plant study. There's been a lot of focus on what that was going to look like. Off the top of my head, 3.2 billion for the carbonate standalone, 5.4 billion, I think it was, for the MPV combined with NAL. These are no small numbers. Now, obviously, you're going to have to be able to fund it, but there's a range of inbound funding mechanisms that's going to help to support that. If they can get there over the next few years, it's a significant project when you think about the scale of that. First test, I only caught highlights for it, But yeah, bloody hell, I watched the highlights for it. Paddy Cummins and Nathan Lyon doing some absolute magic for it. And I don't know about you guys if you've seen kind of the discussion from Nathan Lyon about how he doesn't really like batting and he gets real nervous when he's out there. Some of the shots that he was playing, not bad, not bad, not bad. Brought it home at Edgbaston. For those who are tuning in, we're on Instagram at ASX Investor IG. We're on all the socials, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, and everything else, your Twitter. Just type in ASX Investor, you'll find us. Make sure you've subscribed, turn your bell notifications on as well on YouTube, so you'll keep up to date. Thursdays at 8 p.m. or probably 8:30 p.m. for the live streams. But yeah, Instagram is where you'll get all your daily content. Travel stocks in the next 3 months for tourism nationally and abroad. It's a good question. In terms of travel stocks, I haven't been benchmarking them in terms of kind of valuations and where they're sitting. So I probably can't provide too much comment about that. Tourism itself, I can only speak anecdotally about. But anecdotally, a heck of a lot of the people around me are looking to travel. A lot of people had that pent-up travel last year. I mean, I personally backpacked around Europe for 3 months last year. And I know a lot of people around me did. But this year, it almost seems like there's an equal amount of people doing it again this year. Maybe people who wanted to save a bit more money or were changing their working conditions. We know a lot of people moved jobs during the pandemic. And so as a result of that, maybe people need to save up their leave. But this year, a lot of people are traveling. There's been a lot of intrastate travel as well that I've seen. People are always going to travel interstate as well. And I've been traveling to Sydney a couple of times for work. And I've seen planes are full, airports are full. It looks like things are back. Now, in terms of valuations and things like that, can't make too much comment because it's not a sector I spend a lot of time in. But that's kind of the thinking that I have in terms of anecdotally. Elon Musk and Zuckerberg stepping in the ring. Yeah, it's a fascinating one, isn't it? Like, for me, the way I always think about it is, for people who have never done any combat sports, the difference between having zero combat sport knowledge and a baseline level of combat sport knowledge, like we're talking like 10 or 20%, like 6 months or 12 months in the gym, is light and day. And I can't like accentuate this comment enough. Like for people who've never done combat sports, it's very, very difficult to understand that. But the difference between just like being comfortable, like if you're just boxing or doing stand up, just being able to like wear punches, see them there and see them how they're going, or on the ground in like jiu-jitsu, like just being able to settle in, breathe, like control your breathing, right? You don't need to panic. Someone's there, how you're going to turn them, things like that. It is night and day. And I know Mark Zuckerberg has actually been training and competing in jiu-jitsu. I'm not familiar with Elon Musk and his combat sports background. Maybe he has it. If so, then I guess my prediction will be completely different, but I know that Mark Zuckerberg has got experience in jiu-jitsu, though Elon Musk is bigger than him. But just due to that background and my interpretation of how significant the difference is for people who've understood, it's been in combat regularly and seen that and not, my money would be on Zuckerberg, but I don't know. Elon Musk might have a background in it. I might be completely wrong as well. So that is just like my uninformed opinion without knowing their backgrounds on that. Get confused by companies like CXO and CYO. We're so close to go. Yeah. I mean, we've got to remember as well that stocks, like pricing of stocks is not only pricing in good news, bad news. It's not like good news, price goes up, bad news, price goes down. It's also pricing in valuations and expectations of future cash flows. And so if prices have gone up and then the expectation for future cash flows are already baked into the price, good news might not move it. Or in fact, if expectations are so low and valuations have come down so significantly that actually the market was expecting doom and gloom and, Armageddon, but it's actually a little bit better than that. Maybe it's only 98% bad versus 100% bad. Well, things can go up. So we've got to remember that it's not only good or bad news, but it also has to be in terms of like context of where they're valued and where they're positioned. Company focus on a specific month and get fundraiser up November, October. Stay tuned, mate. We've got our next fundraiser. So Ned Brockman's actually releasing his book this year. It's going to be called Showing Up. Pre-sale is now available. It's on their website, on his website, nedbrockman.com. And $5 from every book of that is going to go to We Are Mobilized. So that's kind of our fundraising campaign for this year. And then over the next years, we're going to look to kind of do something in that Octoberish period and do an ongoing campaign. So yeah, that is the idea, mate. I love the way you think. REC, you've been jumping off some lithium project acquisitions in James Bay, Canada. Canada's have had some really fascinating smaller cap lithium names that have kind of run in this second wave. Obviously, we had that first wave in 2020, 2021, then that moderation. And then over earlier this year, there was a couple of really interesting Canadian names and REC now as well that's been moving. Navigator, evening, doing great work. Very proud of you, mate. Hey, thanks. I really appreciate that. You've been there since the very early days on the channel. So I appreciate that. The live streams are back. Let's go. Time to look into copper and iron ore. A few good companies, cheap as chips. Yeah, I've come down. I saw BHP as well, like talking about iron ore and copper, lifted their emissions targets or emission savings targets out to 2030 quite significantly. Market didn't move too much on the back of it, but if you're interested in the climate space and the green space. Reading that announcement over the past few days from BHP is an interesting one. FDA news from MSB soon. What's the timeline for those, Spotty? Patriot Battery Metals was one of the names I was thinking about when Deco mentioned the Canadian names there. So haven't been looking too much recently, but I know they've got a few big names helping to lead the charge there as well. AUR's consistent buyback the past few months seem to rebound the share price. Yeah, taking shares off the market. There's a few different reasons. One, you're reducing kind of the number of shares on market, which is obviously the opposite of dilution, concentration, but it also instills a bit of confidence and a bit of a floor in the share price generally from investors that, hey, this is a price that the company is willing to, put their hard earned into there. Hot Chili, we had an interview with the Hot Chili CEO back end of last year, I think it was. Might have been in the middle of last year. So you can see that interview on the channel if you haven't read it. Run to Ryan Holiday and Robert Greene. Obstacle is the way I haven't yet. People keep speaking to me about that. Mastery by Robert Greene, I'm not even familiar with. I'll have to add that to the list. Thank you, mate. Thank you. So many books, so little time. That's the frustrating part. And you can use like ChatGPT or I guess even like Spark Notes to summarize them. But you almost feel like, one, you're cheating, but two, you're also not getting the full like nuance and insight that you can get from reading page by page, chapter by chapter. So concepts are good, but also sometimes you want the nuance and the dance with that. Need to evaluate the cash position management holdings. Haven't looked too much into Arafura recently, Arena. What's your general thoughts there? Thoughts on A2 Milk. I saw Barb's had some share price movement over the past period, but I haven't looked too much into A2 Milk. Is the Daigo channel back? Is it moving? How's it going? Neo Metals is an interesting one, and Hannon's. I think so, and this is just my general take on it. I think it's going to be a significant. It's going to be very, very important for us to be able to reach not just lithium, but all of the battery resources moving forward. But then when you look at some of like the forecasts and the models, what's coming to mind? A McKinsey report. I was looking at a McKinsey report for lithium demand. Might have been at the back end of last year, but something off the top of my head. You have to read the report. Whether it's battery resources or lithium itself. It's a report by McKinsey, really good one. But they talk about the breakdown and like the makeup of contribution to total lithium production globally. And off the top of my head, it was something along the lines of like 7% by 2030 will come from battery recycling. Don't get me wrong, that is no small number. But what it speaks to is the fact that to get these technologies effectively working and commercially at scale might not be as rapid as we think. Now, it might be, who knows? What's the quote? All models are wrong, some models are useful. But reading those types of reports is an insight that it might take a bit more time than we thought. Plane tickets are cheaper now compared to previous years. There were question marks on the impact of cost of living pressures as well. That's one. It is kind of that balance there. But I also do think that people, we know that a lot of households had good savings and in terms of like household cash budgets, cash balances after the pandemic because people weren't spending money going out and about. But obviously, as time's gone on, that started to change and people have started to eat into that. And the cost of living pressures and inflation are exacerbating that. A bit of left of the month. The way I'm thinking about it, and who knows, mate, we might have a banging last week and things might surprise us, and that'll be a great surprise there. I've seen, and I think everyone's seen some of the language softening surrounding first half 2023. Surrounding first half 2023 to mid 2023. And so mid 2023 is a bit broader. If you're looking tight, that's June, July. If you're looking a bit narrower, you can go May, June, July, August. And in and around that time frame makes sense to me. We've talked about it at length on the channel. These negotiations and these discussions are not simple things. They are not immediate things. They take time. And they're very, very complicated. And particularly if you're getting like tri-party agreements, who knows? They might be getting tri-party agreements. They might be getting bilateral agreements, whatever it looks like. But when you bringing in a number of parties, and particularly for your first types of agreements, you want them watertight, and you want to make sure that they're going to be long lasting and that you have good terms for all involved, because these are what you're going to be the pillars that you're building the company on. So can they make the cut? Who knows? But if it did push over into first half or mid 2023, and they still get there, I think that's a net good result. Thoughts of use of AI in health, really, really useful. Health is a space that's, I guess, it hasn't had that rapid, not uplift, but it hasn't had that rapid technology uplift. Sorry, I don't even know what happened to my words there. Technology uplift that some of the other sectors have. We've seen some that have rapidly adopted tech. Healthcare has been relatively slower to adopt it, but there's so many opportunities to adopt that now because you can almost skip a step, right? You don't need to build with everything. You can just go from analog, and obviously they're not all analog, but you can go straight from analog without diving into the depths of digital and just use AI to supplement what you're currently doing. So really, really interested in it. I'm interested in the picks and shovels side of AI in health. So the companies are going to be building enabling tools. And I think someone talked about, I think it was Joe Bloggs talked earlier about Palantir. Companies like that are building, these big data sets and these big technology platforms that can help to really bolster out whatever your offering is. Really, really fascinating. And there's going to be many companies. Palantir was just top of mind, but there's going to be many companies like that in the space. Thoughts on RNU? Waiting for news, Jim. And that's what it seems to be, just waiting for news. Got to read Mastery? I will add it to the list. Andrew Huberman's favorite book. I've been really enjoying some of the insights from Andrew Huberman as well. Like those short clips. He's been popping up a fair bit lately. Good to see you live stream again. We're back, Matthew. It's good to be back. Instagram's here. It's at ASX Investor IG. It should be pinned comment at the top. Come say good day on Instagram. We're doing daily content there. All your stock market news and stories. We're on the TikTok, LinkedIn, and Twitter too. Live stream next Thursday, 8 p.m. We're going to get back to the interviews as well. Make sure you subscribe and turn your bell notifications on if you've enjoyed it. Hit the like button. It helps get the videos into the algorithm. We'll be back for another live stream next week. Jerome Powell is talking over the next 24 hours. Let's see what he does. Interesting time. Next week is going to be the last live stream for this quarter, but also the first half of 2023. We'll see what news is clustered around it because we know that markets, or we know that companies often like to bring their news in and around or rush out their news, to reach those quarterly deadlines. So we'll see what happens there. Come say good day on Instagram. Subscribe, bell notifications on, hit the like button. It is a pleasure as always. I had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Not long to the Women's World Cup. Go the Matildas. And well done to the Aussies with the Ashes as well. Thank you, Brett. It's always a pleasure. I hope you guys have an amazing night. For now, we'll speak soon. Stay well. More chilies and pink waving. Chili. I've been enjoying right next to work at our office. There's a really good canteen, and they do like a mad chili chicken wrap. Bit of a tangent, but a mad chili chicken wrap. So that made me think about it. Tom, you. Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Glad you enjoyed it and hope you enjoyed your volleyball. Benny, mate, that is absolute madness. What a way to end the stream. Benny the Mac, mate, it has actually been, I reckon it's probably been years since we've last chatted and since you're on the stream, mate. A big thank you for your donation. Mate, that is too kind. I don't even know what to I can't express my gratitude enough for that, mate. Thank you for your donation. Good to see you. RB6. What are you liking about RB6, mate? RB6, Rubik's Resources. 22% today, 29% over the past days. It's moving 134% over the past 6 months, mate. Things have been going well for RB6 there. Few KFCs there. I'll have to get a zinger box tomorrow as a big thank you to Benny the Mac. Mate, we'll be back next Thursday for a live stream. But no, a big thank you for the donation. It really means a lot. Alrighty, guys. I don't think we can top an ending like that. Benny goes bang. What a star. Come say good day on the Instagram, guys. A big thank you. Hope you have an amazing night. Hope you have an amazing weekend. I'm loving everyone being back for the live streams. We're starting to ramp up again. We're going to keep going. We're back to it. I'm just enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun. For now, guys, have an amazing night. Big special thank you to Benny, but thank you to everyone else as well. Stay well and happy investing.